All right, hey, what's up, guys? It's Jamie. I'm just doing a quick video. Let me get myself a little bigger here. I just dropped off my girls. I pulled over. It's cold today. It's like 20 something degrees, low 20s. I'm up in the New England area, in the Boston area, so still can't seem to break this cold. We had a couple nice days, but anyway, I'm going to recap on Volta because there's been a change in the analysts' ratings for the stock, and I'm mentioning that because in the past, I used to really bank on that and on a stock being undervalued or overvalued. And again, I'm an amateur, but I've been trading stocks for the past 5 years now, and yeah, I've learned a lot over that time frame. So whenever I go into something, I try my best to kind of look at the sentiment of the stock. What direction is it going in? What's the trend? I look at the news reports. I don't really evaluate companies because unless I'm going to hold something like a long time, like in my 401k or Roth IRA, then I'm not going to just forget. Like if I bought 100 shares of Google, or let's say 200 shares of Google, 100 of them I would just sit on forever and until I retired, or if something happened to me, it would go out to the family. And then the other 100 I would sell covered calls. Like that's been the most success I've been having, selling premiums on covered calls and puts, which I won't get into, but that's the best success I've had. Now, once in a while, I'll catch some of these trends, and that's what I just want to show you about, not only just the price action, but about the analyst rating. So yesterday, let me shrink myself down here. When I showed the tip ranks one, which is just one resource of many, it was a high of 18, I believe. In the mid-range, the average, I want to say they said it was 1150. And the low, I think, was 7. Now it's 675. Just call it 7. The low is 3 and the high is 13. So they could change, right? They can flip on you. It's like if my wife says, "Hey, I want you to do this," and I go, "Okay, babe. Okay, honey, we're gonna do that." And then the next day she goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I thought you said we were going to this place. Are we going to this place today?" She's like, "No, we're not doing that anymore." Okay, so I don't take it personal. It's just something that happens. So the analysts have changed their price target for this over 12 months. And it just kind of gives me an idea like, oh, okay, it's kind of like if you're driving down a road and then there's a detour, right? Or something's happened. You got to pay attention and say, okay, let me reevaluate my direction or my path. So I'm already at $3.49 a share. So when I look over the past month, I see that it hit 470 a few times. I'm just looking for a buck, 50 cents to a buck is my goal, right? So my average cost is $3.49. Today's volume, well, I don't know. I think that carries from yesterday, right? But we have until 9:30 till the market opens. So I'm just going to see what happens in the morning. I'm now at 600 shares. I want to have 1,000 shares is what I wanted to have, but I was like, well, I don't want to spend another 400 shares or buy in for another 400 shares if it drops, under 3. I would rather do that and then bring my dollar cost, my price basis, down, my cost basis, whatever, just to get it down under 349, closer to 3. That's where I'd like to be, anywhere from 275 to 3 if it is going to drop. But I'm not married to this thing. I'm not committed to it. I'm just looking for the price action. When I look at Volta on Webull, I like, trading view is awesome for me, like when I do charts on a desktop or laptop. But Webull's pretty good and it's free. So you can draw stuff, but I was looking at the trends, the moving averages, the support and resistance stuff. Again, I'm not an expert, so I'm not trying to break things down like there's guys that do that. But what I'm looking at is when I look at the 60-day moving average, I see it's kind of hitting that, right? So now it's resistance, and because of the news, I'm on Vuzi. Hold on a second, sorry, wrong stock. Volta. When you look at the 60-day moving average, it's falling below that. It's below the 9-day moving average. So it's way below that, and it's just getting hammered, right? But when you kind of zoom in and you go to, like, say, an hourly chart, it just kind of gives you a lay of the land, right? And I drew these little support and resistance lines that you can see there, and that's what my graph is, right? It stays in this little bar here. So I'm like, all right, since yesterday it dropped to 328, so if it drops below that, then I want to grab the last 400 shares somewhere in that range to bring my cost basis down. Now overnight, between the aftermarket and pre-market, it stayed in that 349 to say 330. right, or 3:39. So I'll be curious to see what happens between 9 and 9:30, and then the hour, 30 minutes to an hour when the market opens. Now, if it pops, right, maybe I'll post this video before. If it does pop, right here, then depending on how fast that goes, like sometimes that happens within, just a minute or two, a couple minutes, and then everybody dumps, then I might try to jump in because my goal is to make $500 to $1,000. I'm in it for 2. I don't want to be in it for more than 3,500, and then because then your percentages are 20 to 30 to 40% depending on what it does. That's high, but if I can make 20 to 30% on whatever I'm into it for within a couple days, that's a pretty good return. I don't want to get stuck bag holding and holding this thing for weeks and months if I don't have to, because I'm not. I think there's a good company, but there's a lot of stuff going on. There's so many other things going on. I'm more interested in like Google, Amazon, Tesla, the 21 ratio split for Google and Amazon. And then I don't know what's going to happen with Tesla, but if that gets a final approval by their board, then you figure it's either going to be a 1 to 2, as I heard, or maybe a 5 to 1. I'm thrilled about that. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. But in the meantime, I'm going to try to take a calculated risk and risk management to make sure I don't go, taking big losses. I want to keep my goal for at least for the Robinhood stuff, which is what I'm really trying to showcase here, amongst other things. I like to have a little diversity, but my goal for Robinhood here is, I've gotten back up to 8. Usually at 10, I will cash out most of it and then start over. But this year, for the rest of the year, my goal is to kind of show $100,000. Right, and that's how I've gotten there, and that's what this is about. So I go step by step, meaning I did take 15 different positions with options with iron condors, iron butterflies, but I still had to calculate a risk. The most I could lose was a certain percentage of my portfolio in Robinhood. I couldn't lose more than that. Like I was confident that I wouldn't, and if it paid out well, I'd be like, oh, maybe I'll repeat this. So it didn't work out the way I kind of hoped. I only lost a few $100s, but going back into the week, you're not going to see me take 15 positions with iron condors and iron butterflies and 4 option strategies. I took a couple. I took one for Upstart because I still like Upstart, but that's about it. The rest is just stuff I've had that are longer, farther out. GRTX is super cheap. There's a good example. I'll lead off with that one. GRTX, which that thing had dropped. GRTX. I think that's a Chinese stock, company. Let me shrink myself down again. So, this one, you could see it's, it dropped down from 18, 14, 12. It's just been trending down lower and lower. So it got down as low as, like when you look at this, 328. My what the heck, man? What's going on here? GRTX. Okay. I'm talking about a stock. I'm like, wait a minute. This is what I was trying to find. Like this giant drop, right here. That's why I got into it. I was like, whoa, look at that massive drop. Might be some opportunity. And I had 500 shares at $1.44. Now I took profit. I kept 100 because I'm like, oh man, at one point it's, when it went up to 534, and that was great. I was like, oh, let me keep 100 because maybe it gets back to this level. And, I don't want to miss that if I don't have to. The premiums really don't pay much again on this one, but it's so cheap, $144. I mean, with such a massive upside. So I've been holding that one. And then I had that option contract where I thought, oh, there's so much opportunity. But this has been going on for some time, right? This is back in October of last year, right? October. So November, December, January, February, March. It's 5 months ago. So sometimes you get stuck, holding out. For me, and that one, 100 share, $144. I don't really care. It's not that I don't care, right? Money's money, but I'm not worried about it. I'm not concerned. I don't have a big position, but and there's some good opportunity that it will get back, because if you look at this one, and I'm rambling on. This is just another example. Look at the price analyst for this. the price target. So out of 4 analysts, the high is $20, the mid is 12, the low is 4. It's at 250, and it's been like that for a long time. That's why I was like, oh, maybe this thing is undervalued. But it's been 5 months. So if you're just sitting around waiting, it might pay off. But in the same token, you might have been able to flip that money several times over if if you would have just said, okay, let me kind of move on. That's why I only left 100. I left 100 shares, and that one small contract in Robinhood, I think I only paid. I didn't pay much for it. It was like, it was. Where is it? Average cost, current price, 66. So it cost me $66, right? And my total return is -$3. At one time it was up 400%, and that was dumb of me. I should have sold it and took the profit, but I got greedy because it was so cheap. But sometimes you just got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, something like the Kenny Rogers. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good Tuesday.